Hi friends, it's Monique, your slightly awkward journaling buddy. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much for all the subscribes and all the support so far. It really means the world to me. So the last journaling video I made was when we made this prayer journal out of an old envelope and some scraps and junk. So from start to finish we made this, and you can go and check out the video in the link below. And I think today we're going to actually turn this into a usable prayer binder or prayer journal, faith journal, or a wall binder. Let's get into it. So before we start setting up the prayer journal, I thought I'd just do a flip through of this journal that I made because I had some requests from people asking to see a flip through, and I decided not to use this as my healing journal for the next few months because I've been thinking, and I'm still trying to strategize my way through things, but at the moment I'm just using the small junk journal that I made for myself with some scrapbook paper, cardstock, and some scrappy paper. So I'll be using this for the next couple of months and see how that holds up. So let's get to the flip through of this baby. Like I said in the first video, this was made out of an old biscuit box. It's like a cereal box, and I covered it with some old shirts that my husband used to wear. And then I used a variety of different papers, and I won't go into detail on every single one or every single page, and I'm just going to quickly flip through. But these ones especially, I really love birds, and my sister found a pack of these wrapping paper, like a book that you tear them out in a thrift store, and she gave them to me. But these are also really old, and I'm absolutely in love with the look of it, and there's a huge variety, so you'll see some of it through the rest of the book as well. So I'd really just used whatever scrap I could find to make tuck spots and writing spots. I used some sewing on some pages and brown paper bags and old papers from old books and newspapers. So I really just did a lot of different things, and I'm just going to go through without talking. So as I've shown through the whole journal, I do put some clusters of scrapbooking of scrappy paper together so we can use them throughout the book while embellishing our other pages as we write on them. And I did some stamping as well, and that's the book, my friends. So why use a prayer journal? Or how do you use a prayer journal? Those are questions that I get asked quite often. And then on top of that is, does it really make a difference in your prayer life? And the answer is yes. not only does it look pretty and makes you feel good when you work in it, it's also filled with God answering your prayers and you making yourself vulnerable towards God by whatever you put in your prayer journal. And if you want a better relationship with God, there's only two things that you really need to do, and that is pray continuously without ceasing. Pray about everything, seek God in everything, and then dive into His Word. Read it every day, study it. It's rich, it's true, and there's nothing more you can do besides those two things to really get your relationship stronger with God. And everything else will then fall in place, and you will see the ministry, you will see the growth, and you will see God's plan for you in the long run. So that's why I'm so passionate about praying and about having a prayer journal, because I am a crafty person. I do want to have my hands on something tangible that I can use to pray. It doesn't mean that your prayers go unheard if you don't use a prayer journal. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing with this one today to set it up. I've got different sections that I use to pray and to make my prayer more effective and to keep track and keep it organized, and being able to go back and look at what you prayed for and how God answered that is also one of the big motivations for me to keep a prayer journal like this one. So I've actually made a printable that I've linked in the description of how to use a prayer binder. This one, I set it up and I did some tweaking of my own, but it was very much inspired by Coffee and Bible Time by Ashley. And this is just my rendition of it and how I found it to help. And it also has a little bit of an information on why do you use the prayer binder, and this one is how to use it. And then I've also, in the description box, I've linked these flaggy tags, but I've actually got a few different designs there with the subsections typed out for you on some of them. There are blank ones, so if you'd like to use them today, you can also find them linked in the description. So I'm going to be setting up this journal in a way that I can reuse it and get some more longevity out of it, because prayers change, prayers get answered, and the way that I pray is I write every word down. So I tend to write a lot, but it helps me to keep focused, and it helps me to remember when I prayed and how I felt on that certain issue that I prayed for. So I tend to gravitate towards using sticky notes instead of writing every single prayer down on the pages itself. But in this case, with the way that we made this journal, it actually has interchangeable papers. So you can slot one out and just replace that paper if you felt like it. So the possibilities with this one is quite endless. So let's chat a bit about the subsections. I found that if you have a section for praise or worship, you write down any song verse or verses about praise, or your personal feelings about praise, and any worship feelings, any worship songs, you can write down in this section. So this just helps you go into praying with a thankful heart. And then gratitude is the next section. So you write down any song about gratefulness or thankfulness, or your personal feelings, or your personal thank yous towards God for answered prayers, or when He helped you out of situations or gave you the clarity that you needed, etc. So that helps also open up your heart to gratitude and gratefulness towards God, because it leads you into the next part of the prayer function. Then you must confess. So confess about something that you reflected about in the last 24 hours. Questions like, did I avoid doing something I should have done? Did I fail God in any of my personal conduct? Was I honest with God, myself, and others? What were my thoughts like? Did I depend on God? So anything where you failed, you can confess that. If you found something new that you need to confess, this is the place to do it. Then from there, you're going to rest and listen. So that's when you take 5 to 10 minutes and just really become quiet in front of God and just wait for Him. Just wait for His voice to come through your thoughts, and just really rely on His answers at that point in time. And whatever revelation He gives you, you can then write down in that section. Then there's the section for urgent prayers. So if you've got prayer requests, or you've got of situations that you seriously need to pray for others as well, that would be where that goes. Petition revolves around you. So if you have prayers that are about yourself, or your immediate family, or your husband and your children, this would be the place where you start writing those down. And then pray scripture. The reason why this is in here is to motivate you, firstly, also to get into God's word, and then to really teach you how to take specific scriptures and find the application for yourself, and then pray about it. So I used to take the word of the day from the YouVersion Bible app and take that verse and then pray something about it. It seems stupid, but when you start doing it, it makes a lot of sense. And then we've got the day of the week. So these ones are only split up in the 5 days of the 5 work week days. So we've got Monday, we do family. Tuesday, Christian friends. Wednesday, non-Christian and other non-believers. Thursday, we do church and ministries. And Friday is nation and the world. You can extend that. If you've got something else that you want to add, you can do Saturdays and Sundays. You can mix up these as you need them. And then the last one is my favorite, when God answers prayers. Now, I usually, when I write out my prayer on a sticky note, I obviously stick it down. And after God answered the prayer, I'd write on the back a little testimony of what God did for me and the date that it came through. And then this used sticky note I would store in the backside of my journal, where I'm going to be putting an envelope in to keep them in. And then also you can also use this section to really also go deep into these testimonies and remind yourself why it was a problem and how God gave you the answer that you needed there. So I'm going to be working on my tabs first, and I'll talk you through it as I go along. Okay, so I wrote down every subsection on one of these tabs. They will be folded in half, so then they will be on both sides. But I'm going to attach them on paper clips, like little flags. Because the papers in the prayer journal are unequal, then I can see them sticking out at the top or at the bottom on the sides, so that it's easy to find the section that you are working in at that point in time. So I'm going to quickly do that. Okay, so I finished cutting all of them out, so I'm going to ink the edges quickly. Okay, so the edges are inked. It just makes it look a little bit more grungy, which I like. It's a vintagey look that I like, and it would suit well with the journal, as you can see. So what I'm going to be doing now is folding them all in half. And now you will see that they don't line up very nicely, so a way to just make that look a little bit better and make it disappear a bit is just by inking the edges further. Okay, so let's attach them to our paper clips. as I'm attaching the tabs to the paper clip, I'm just making sure that the end that opens up is not the one that I'm using. So I'm using the full closed end on this side, and I'm making sure that it's facing down, and then making sure that my tab is right side up, and then I just slit it through there so it's between those two legs like that, and then I glue it shut. And try and align it as best you can. And then I just put it under a heavy book so that it dries flat. And then we just wait for that to dry. So as you know, I've been journaling and Bible journaling and prayer journaling for many years, and I've tried various different methods and different types of binding and whatnot to use, and I found that the book that I'm going to be setting up today is one of the better methods. But what I wanted to share with you is one of my old methods that also really helped, and you can really build on it. So I used a ring binder, a smaller one. So this is like an A5 size. It's very dirty. And then I made dividers out of scrapbooking paper, and I attached the tabs on there for ease of reference on the side. But I also labeled them like this. But I included in the printable today, I've included these labels as well, with the subsections already typed in, but also blank ones. And then you've got a choice between two different styles of the tabs as well. Either you can tab it on the side like this, or you can use those that I've shown you now and create flags. Stick around for me to show you another version of a prayer journal that can also work nicely. But in this one, I did verse mapping and I did Bible study, I did my sermon notes. So I filled it up rather quickly, and I've retired it since then. But it's always on my shelf for inspiration and to use in the future. So I just quickly want to see, I made this journal, and I think if I'm correct, it has 12 pages, which means it's 48 sides. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, 12. So yes, that's 12 times 2, so it's 24. And we've got 9 subsections. Yes, there's 9 subsections, and then I need to just quickly calculate how that's going to be divided. So that works out at about 5 pages per section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these tabbies that I made, starting with the first one, which was praise. So I'm going to attach them to the first page of every section. So I'm going to have them on like this. And as you can see, it's not going to be poking out all the way. But for me, this works nicely because I can find the subsections easily. I'm going to do 5 pages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which then means this side. Give thanks. Which means this side is going to be the one that I'm going to be using for the first page for the give thanks section. Like so. See, this one's poking out of the book, so you can always just move it up a bit like so. Did I do this right now? Trial and error. last section will probably have more pages in my case, but yours might differ. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's fine with me because the last section is God answers prayers, and I tend to write a lot of testimony here as well, so that'll be great for the additional space. What I am going to do is I'm going to move this envelope that I've got here from this page and just stick the ephemera back here, and then I'm going to use it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sticking it down with glue. So the reason I did that is so that you have an envelope to place the sticky notes in of the prayers that have been answered if you've got a bulk of it. So, but you can always stick it on or write the testimonies here. You can always stick the sticky note down here and say that God answered this prayer with the testimony at the back, and do that. But then if you do run out of space, which I normally do, there is a envelope at the back, but you can also use this to maybe store some sticky notes in there if you are taking it with you and you need some storage space. You can always put your sticky notes in there, and then you can always add a pen with one of these modified bulldog clips that you can just add the pen onto on the side, and then you've got a prayer journal on the go. As promised earlier, I will be showing a few different ideas of what you can use for a prayer journal if you don't want to create a junk journal like mine. You can use a file folder like this one with the plastic pockets. So what you can do is fill it up with A4 paper, either printouts that motivate you, song lyrics, images, whatever you feel like, and then you can always use your sticky notes and stick them on here. So you can still make tabs and attach them to the sides here, or you can use the big label printouts that you can put here with some details around it. You can draw, you can color in, whatever you feel like, and then you just stick your prayers down like that, and when you're done you can always use the pocket in the back of the book to put the sticky notes in and pile them up as God answers your prayers. So that's one idea that you can use. So as I've said, you can attach the tabs like this. The reason I went for the paperclip method is so that I can save the pages. I do have another prayer journal that I'd still use, so I can just use this one on and off if I feel like it. So you can literally write on anything. If you want to write straight onto the page here, I would just add a piece of scrap paper. So you can tear the paper up or cut it down to size and paste it over this. So you can still maybe make it a bit smaller, and then you can still have some details of the paper beneath. And you can write on this one, or you can write on the envelopes. You can write everywhere that there's space to write, you can write, and then you can put notes inside. You can write on the back of these. So anything that you want to write down, you can write down in any spots. And this also flips open, so you have that writing space as well, so it's a bigger page. So the possibilities are actually endless on how to use them, but I'm going to show you what I do just to give you some inspiration. So with the praise part, I'd start by writing my prayer down on my chosen sticky note, and you can use any sticky note. You can use themed ones, you get cute ones on online, and then you can just write it down and you stick it down like that. And you can use different colors. You can use a color per subsection like that, and then if the paper starts getting a bit full, you can overlap, because they do flip up like this. So you can overlap like that. You can overlap a little bit more if you need to create more space. The possibilities really are endless, and there's a lot that you can do. So you can overlap like this so that you can see. Got 3 prayers there. You can do the same thing here. And then when you're done with a prayer, and you write a testimony at the back and the date that God answered the prayer, you literally go either to the back of the book and either stick it down like so, or you take that sticky note and you put it into the envelope if you're not using it for storage of sticky notes. So you put it in like that, and there you go. So it's really an easy method if you use the sticky note method, but you can really use any method you want, and you can write this. You can write on every single page, and then if you feel like removing something, you can remove it, and you can always add paper however you like. Another option that you can use if you want to make a prayer journal without making a junk journal like mine is you can use pre-existing little notebooks. This one is Christian based, and I like birds, like I've said before, and you can use these in the same way as you use this one. You can put the tabs in via paper clip, or you can stick them down and you can make subsections and divide them, or you can just write and use that to your heart's content. My dad had to go to hospital for a long time, and in that time he didn't really have access to his cell phone, so he couldn't really contact us. And then he was writing little notes on little scrap pieces of paper, and he was putting these notes in here. So these are like little updates and letters and prayers even that my dad used in the time that he was in hospital. And he put it in a cold drink bottle, but I was thinking this is such a good idea. If you don't want to use a book, you can use a bottle, and you can use something as small and intricate as this one. This is where I keep my scrappy pieces of yarn, and you can use a small one like this, or you can go all out and go really big and use a big one like this. And you can put these prayers in there, and when you feel like it, you go through it again and you just read them. And if that's been answered, you can always do the testimony thing and maybe just put it away or save it for later. But this is such a good idea. It's just not the prettiest bottle, but this goes into my sentimental keepsake box because, yeah, it's important to me. And then finally, you can always use a budget binder. Now, you buy these online as well, especially where I'm from. And you get them in different colors and different textures, and you get the soft cover and the hard cover ones. But then I just take out the budget papers and I just rework it and I make it a prayer binder. So this one, I've got some sticky notes that I still need to stick on there, which you get there. Now I just put some little bookmarks and stuff in to pretty it up. So these are color in bookmarks that I buy from Books, and then these are magnetic bookmarks. So I don't know if you guys have ever read the book Fervent. I can't remember who the author is now, Priscilla something, but she's the actress that starred in the movie War Room, and which is about the prayer room. So the whole prayer binder, war binder, derives from that movie. And she said something there when she asked her grandma, why does she write down her prayers? Her grandma said, so I won't forget. So this is like my theme for my prayer binders. So I've got these that I make on order and I sell. So it's got a pocket with some sticky notes, and then it's got the subsections as well with some blank papers and pockets that you can put the prayers in that get a little bit too much. So everything's done like that. And then also you've got your pen and everything ready to go. And this one's a nice little compact one that you can put in your handbag and so forth. And I really love this. So that's another idea that you can do. Okay, so I hope that you found some inspiration today and found that you don't need to physically make a prayer journal in a junk journal style to be able to use a prayer journal. And I hope that you use the subsections that I've given, and I hope that you can build on that. If you've got some new ideas or something that you think I missed or something that you think I can incorporate, comment down below and let me know. And show me your prayer journals. I'm excited to see them. And if you don't like using the sticky note method, if you've got something better, or if you just do the writing and your prayers down in any notebook, that's also fine. So I really do hope that you leave with inspiration and that you get into praying. And if you've got any requests or questions, let me know. Thank you for watching. And as always, please remember, it doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Bye-bye.